Okie dokie. Hey everybody, welcome. This is Senior Living Live, talking today about what goes into a new senior living community. That's our topic today. As you can see, we're in our pre-show a little bit. If you're joining us from any of the other Facebook pages that we just broadcasted to, welcome. So happy to see you here. If you could do something for me, let me know that you can see me, that you can hear me, and just say hi. Let me know where you're watching from. I got my phone here, and the comments hopefully will pop up, and I will see those, and I will give you a little shout out while we're on the air. We've got about a minute or so before we get started. We are talking specifically about new senior living communities today and kind of what goes behind that. But, you know, even if you're not looking at a new senior living community, you're looking at something that's been around for a while or something, I think that there's some valuable insights that you'll get here because you kind of get to look into the senior living industry a little bit and some things like that. So I see that my audio might be just a little bit low, so I'm just going to pull that up just a little bit. Hold that thought. I'll be right back. There we go. Check, check, check. Test, test, test. All right. So just a few seconds, like I said, we're going to be talking about what goes into a new senior living community. If you are just joining us, say hello, leave a comment right below the video, and then throughout this video, let me know if you have any questions. Well, what goes into a new senior living community? Hey everybody, welcome to Senior Living Live. My name is Chris and I'm your host. We come here every week, right where you're watching right now. It could be at multiple locations. It could be on Facebook, it could be on YouTube, or it could be at our website, seniorlivinglive.com. And this is a show that we talk about, well, you guessed it, senior living. It's things all related to senior living, particularly if you are looking for senior living or if you think that that might be in your future. We want to help you out. We are pulling back the curtains on really all of these topics related to senior living because we recognize that, you know, it's not something that you may have experience in. And so we want to be a resource to help. Our ultimate goal is that you can live the life that you want to live or that your loved one wants to live, and you're safe and you're happy and everything's good there. So that's our goal of this show and of this whole series, really. We're in episode 23, I believe, of Senior Living Live. And so you can watch past episodes, by the way, at seniorlivinglive.com. I think I have a little link that I can put up right there. Seniorlivinglive.com. You can watch all of our past episodes on demand, and that's either on Facebook or YouTube. You can pick your platform of choice to be able to watch those. But we've got a lot of great topics, things like how to pay for senior living, how to consider downsizing, because typically a senior living apartment might be a little bit smaller than the house that you're in now. Looks like we got a couple of people watching. If you could leave a comment and let me know that you're watching. Let me know that you can hear me because we did a show last week. We had to end up deleting it and doing it over because we didn't have sound the whole time. But luckily, somebody told us that we were there. So we want to hear that, and I want to see your comments, and hopefully I can see those coming through. I'm just going to write hi. And hopefully somebody else can comment and you let me know where you're watching from. And, if you have any new senior living communities around you, I'd love to hear about those. What is it that you're looking for? What do you like? What do you not like? But that's what we're talking about today. So let's get into that a little bit. As you know, if you've watched this show before, you've seen that a few weeks ago, we did a grand opening of a new community in the Atlanta area called the Arbor at Bridge Mill. And we actually took this whole Senior Living Live get-up, this whole studio on the road, and went to that. We did some great interviews, and we had some fun at that party. And so flash forward to this week, actually last night, there was another grand opening at another community, this time in the Chicago area. And unfortunately, I wasn't able to actually make it to the grand opening, though it looks like it was a lot of fun. But what we did do is we still did some of those interviews and we still did some of those video clips so that I could show those to you on our show today. So that's what I'm going to be doing right now. And again, if you're watching, let me know that you can hear me. Give me a shout out, give me a hi. I'd love to hear from you and hear from where you're watching from. And also to make sure that my phone is actually working because I don't know that it is. I don't know if your comments are coming in. So hopefully, let's see if I click over here, if I see any of those. No, that view doesn't give them to me. Well, We'll see. I'm also flying solo today. I don't have the other folks in here helping me out because they were up in Naperville shooting these videos. So we're kind of all changing things up, but we are okay. By the way, this is Arbor Terrace, Naperville, right behind me. You see their beautiful lobby there. That's a picture we took yesterday. It is gorgeous. I wish I was there for the grand opening. But hey, Angel, I'm glad that it's working. And I'm glad that you're watching, Angel. It's so nice to see you watching our show today and sharing that with folks around you. So we're happy to see you there. Welcome. Okay. So what goes into a senior living community? So like I said, we had this community open. It's been open for a couple of months now, and they did their grand opening just last night. And it was this whole 1920s theme. So you'll see like this kind of Great Gatsby kind of thing. So you're going to see in the video clips that I show you, there, you know, there's some people in some period dress. They kind of, you know, as our British friends might call it, a fancy dress affair. So they're all kind of dressed up for that. But if you forgive that, there's some fantastic content in there. And one of the things that I think that people don't necessarily always understand about senior living is the relationship of the different companies and the different people involved in the process. Now, it's a little different from company to company and community to community, but the way that we operate and the way a lot of communities operate is we, as the Arbor Company, that's who I work for, we're a third-party management company. So that means someone or some company or group of people you know, buys or builds or somehow owns a senior living community, and they then hire us as the experts to come in and operate the community. So typically someone who buys and, you know, builds the place does not have the experience, or maybe they don't have the you know, the desire to run it, to hire people and to, you know, get the staff in and do the marketing and sales and all of the different pieces to that. And that's what we are really good at. So as the Arbor Company, that's all we do, is we manage these communities for other people. So the video that I'm about to show you is from, it's an interview with a gentleman named Scott Stewart. And he works with a group called Capital Seniors Housing. They own a good handful of the communities that we operate, including this one that the team was at last night, Arbor Terrace, Naperville, up in Naperville, Illinois. Now that community provides independent living, assisted living, and memory care, 2 types of memory care actually. And so Scott's going to talk a little bit about that, and he's going to talk a little bit about you know, just kind of what goes into a new senior community and why they are in the business of actually building these communities, and, you know, why they choose to build versus, you know, sometimes they buy communities, and they've kind of got both of new communities and old communities and sort of everywhere in between. So take a listen to this. It's about a 7-minute or so clip of him talking about the process. And then once that's over, I'll be back to talk a little bit more. Enjoy.
With us, we have Scott Stewart, Managing Partner of Capital Senior Housing. Welcome to the show.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
We are so happy to have you this evening. Thank you for joining us for a little bit of time away from this wonderful party.
Yeah, huh?
Yeah.
Love that.
Yes.
Fun crowd we have.
Yeah, it's really great, really great. So tell me, how did you get involved in building senior living communities?
Great question. You know, we started off our entire company with working with the Carlyle Group, which is a large private equity group in Washington, D.C. And we were opportunistically investing. What that means is we would buy properties that need a little fixer-up. You know, it's maybe a carpet refresh, new furniture, new paint, FF&E. Sometimes change out the operators, and we take something that was we characterize as a B asset, maybe a B plus asset, and make it A minus. And that's what we did for the longest time. We're very successful in that. We'd execute on a business plan every time we bought a property. But then we realized that, you know, there wasn't enough quality development that was going on. We'd go to these markets and we would see these properties that were great for the time that they were. They're like you know, 20 years old. They needed a lot of TLC. And while we could do that, you couldn't have the same effect of creating where you thought that the industry was going, what the discerning seniors resident was looking for, unless you built it from the ground
From
up.
the ground up, yep.
And so, with that in mind, I've been good friends with what I think is the best in the business, a fellow by the name of Joe Macri. I worked with him during our Sunrise Senior Living days back in the early 2000s. And after considerable discussions and years, I finally was able to convince him to come on over with two of his colleagues. And that gave us the platform that we needed to start building seniors housing communities.
That's wonderful. And how long ago was that?
That was about 5-6 years
Okay,
ago.
all right.
Call it 2010.
Okay. Okay. So when you came in tonight
Yes.
and you walked through the front door,
Yeah.
what did you think?
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, I'd seen it before, but this is the finished product.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, you just walk around and it's, there's energy in this place. It looks fantastic. You got a lot of, our initial residents are the wonderful Midwestern folks. They're so easy to talk to,
Yeah.
happy,
Down to earth.
good down to earth folks. And they set the personality for this community.
Yeah,
This is you got four walls here. You need to have life in it. And Arbor, the operator, is just fantastic at doing this. We're very, very proud of this property. We think it's a fantastic community for this area. A lot of the other seniors housing communities are north of here, north on 59. We thought that this market was underserved and that people needed that a community was going to be would do well here.
That's wonderful.
And and when you combine that with the fact that you've got all this wonderful retail and just a really friendly, living environment, we're very excited about the prospects of this community.
So when you look at it and you look at the finished product and where it is today, what are you the most proud of? If you could name one thing, what just says, wow, that's amazing?
Well, honestly, it's the fact that we have our favorite operator in this community. We've got Arbor in here. We've got a successful partnership with Arbor. We have it across, everywhere east of Mississippi. And when we got, Arbor to agree to partner up with us on this thing, we knew it was going to be a home run. So we got that. Plus, we've got a big piece of ground here, and that allows us to, while there's a lot of walking areas here. What we really like about it is there's a lot of first floor action going on here, right? We've got 95
People
units.
like that.
Roughly half of them are dedicated to assisted living. We also have about a quarter or so for transitions. And then what I really like about this community is that we've got a number of units, first floor units, dedicated to memory care. CSH, we've got what we call a Bill of Rights. There's signatures that we want in all of our buildings. And one of them is first floor memory care. Too often you see memory care that's on the third floor. And
they can't get outside and get fresh air and walk.
The area they have
exercise.
is by definition confined to a very small area.
Right.
And here we've got one of the best, memory gardens, I think, east of Mississippi.
Yes, and I think maybe, we have a resident here that is a master gardener, so we may hear a little bit more about that this evening
I didn't know that.
too.
How about that?
So you'll have to go check that out. Which is wonderful. So technology, that's the wonderful thing. When you're building from the ground up and you don't have to go in and renovate a building, you can build it the way you want. What are some of the things with technology that you've put into the building that again, will really serve seniors well?
You raise a good point, and that's I keep coming back to the discerning senior. Time was so you had the greatest generation and even the silent generation. These are folks that kind of lived their life and went into retirement. They didn't want to make too many waves and followed authority and that kind of stuff. As we evolve and ultimately get towards the baby boomers, they're much more discerning customers. And with that, they're much more technologically advanced. They want to use things that are out there that previous seniors had. Everything from Alexa to keyless entry systems to a stronger Wi-Fi. Because everybody's got their they got got their smartphones, they
Yes.
got their
Yes, no matter what age, right?
no matter
Yeah,
what age.
yeah.
And we still think that the industry has got a lot to evolve into that field, but we think that we're at the front end of it.
Well, we just want to thank you. Thank you for serving seniors and working really hard to provide a wonderful environment where life continues to happen and they can live life to the full. So thank you so much for your time, Scott. I know you got to get back to the party and have maybe a beer or a glass of wine. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate
your
it.
time.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Wasn't that a fun party? Could you tell? I mean, just look at Michelle's Michelle's outfit there. That was a lot of fun. So again, that was at Arbor Terrace, Naperville last night at their grand opening. We had Scott Stewart on there. He's the managing partner of Capital Seniors Housing. They're the owners of that community as well as several of the other communities that we operate. So if you're watching right now and you've got a question related to anything that Scott just said, he talked about technology, he talked about design, he talked about the benefits of sort of building a community from the ground up. Those are all super important things. And so, I would encourage you to, first of all, if you have a question about any of that stuff, leave a comment right here. Let me know what's important to you. Ask a question or just what's important to you in a new community if you happen to be looking at a new community that's around you. He talked about a lot of things. He talked about dining, the technology, the grounds, and then Michelle mentioned there are some residents who like to do gardening, and typically we find that in all of our communities. There's typically a group of residents who like to do gardening, and then there's a group of residents who like to do this and different things like that. And so the communities, typically the staff will kind of do what they need to do to accommodate those residents and to make sure that they're living their life fulfilled. So I've got some other clips to show, but here's the thing. We are kind of running a little bit long on time, not too long. So the next clip I'm going to show you, might cut it a little bit short though, is Adrienne Faulkner. So Adrienne is I think she's the managing partner of Faulkner Design Group. These are the interior designers. And I want you to hear this clip because I think it's super important to know what goes into the design of a senior living community. So, we talk about the building and we talk about the technology and the location and all of that kind of stuff. It's super important, but the design's important too. And what you'll hear is that the design is a little bit more. It goes farther than just the look of things. There's the function side of it too. So take a listen.
I have with us our fantastic designer from Faulkner Design Group with me now, Adrienne Faulkner. Thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Thank you for
We're
having
so
me.
glad to have you. What a fabulous party.
Yes.
Yeah, ribbon cutting.
Yes.
So how wonderful it is to be able to build something from the ground up.
It's fun.
What makes this place special for you?
Well, first I always say the location.
Yeah.
They have to pick a site, and the sites are always unique. I always say that a community is like a child. They each have their own individual characteristics, where they are. This one's across the street from the country club, from a golf club. There's a school right nearby, and so that makes it really unique. And then we start to listen to the developers and what they're thinking, because they found the site.
Right.
And they get all excited about the community and the site. So that's kind of how it gets the ball rolling.
So when you start a project, I can't imagine what that was like, coming in and seeing nothing here.
Kind of clean slate,
and
right?
What's that process that you use to put the whole project together? What approach do you take, and what did you take with this particular community?
Well, again, we like to listen. I say God gives you 2 eyes, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. So we listen to our clients, we listen to the operators, we listen to potential residents and the community of what they're looking for. What they're wanting, and what's the feel. We wanted a space that would be warm and inviting and feel like home.
Right.
And feel like home not just to the residents, but to their families and to the people who are actually working here as well. To all the wonderful Arbor staff.
Yeah, that's so important.
And that's kind of how we start, and we listen. And then we start pulling together pictures and mood shots and things like that, and start to pull together real fun finishes. And
it's got to be a lot of fun.
It starts to evolve, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So obviously you come into this type of project looking at a senior-friendly kind of
Absolutely.
environment. You have to keep that in mind as well. So do you look at that, and you said a little bit about that you look at that from an operator standpoint?
We
Can you
have-
tell me a little bit
yes.
more about that?
I will. You know, you have to look at adjacency. So, you know, what do people need to be by, and what's the shortest walking distance that they need to go from point A to point B to point C? And it's not just about the resident, from their unit to the dining room or to the different amenity spaces, but it's really the operators and how far do they have to go, and are they inconvenienced because you know they're working here,
Right.
So, and you have to look like it's seamless, and so that's all. There's a science to that, and you have to
Right.
really go and research and listen and make those adjacencies. So we're an interior architecture firm as well. We're not just interior designers. So I have
Okay.
a full architectural team, and we do Revit drawings and we do 3D designs so that the operators can actually see things in 3D. And we were on this cutting edge technology like 17, 18 years ago, the first interior design firm to be on
Wow.
Revit 3D technology. So we use these tools to start to show what it can look like, what it can feel like to all the constituents. So
A lot of fun, I'm sure.
it's a lot of work, though. I'm telling you, it's
well,
a lot of work.
I can't.
We love what we do,
Yeah.
but it does take a lot of elbow grease,
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah,
team members
yeah.
coming together.
Well, and I'm sure when you walked in tonight, it was a wonderful
So
feeling.
much fun,
Just
right?
a wonderful feeling. What are you the most proud of?
You know, I'm the most proud of the fact that the operators have kept it as beautiful as the day we installed it. I mean, that is incredible, and that means they really care.
Yes.
That means that their attention to detail is second to none, which is actually why they're our #1 operator to tell
Aw,
people about. They
that's
really are. I'm not just saying
wonderful.
that. They really are great people.
Thank
So I'm
you.
the most
Yeah.
proud of that they kept the integrity of the design.
Right.
And that's just
right,
super important.
Right. Well, it is absolutely beautiful, and we want to thank you for joining
you.
us. And I don't know, we might be able to use a little bit of your talent back at our home office in Atlanta.
no.
What do you think, Chris? Do you think maybe we could have Adrian come and fix up the office in Atlanta?
We'll have to ask CSH about that. I don't know. We'll see if Scott will let us go because we're so fortunate
My
to be able
office
to work
could
for
use a
for
little
such
bit
great,
of help, Adrian.
Yeah. Well, also, I got to tell you, we're really, really fortunate to work with such a great group like CSH.
Yeah.
They are
They really
amazing to
are.
work for. And they get it.
Yes.
They get how important it is when people walk in the door and they fall in love.
Yeah.
Because you want them to feel like they're home. Because it is a hard transition for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And that's so important to us. And that's why we're so passionate about what we do. Our tagline is designing environments that transform lives. And we want to feel like
great.
we're transforming lives, one community at a time, one person at a time, one memory at a time.
Yeah.
And that's everybody that's involved. So
Well, it's absolutely beautiful. You've done
Thank
a
you.
wonderful
Thank you so
job,
much. Thank you.
and it's gorgeous, and it feels like home.
Good.
And that's really important. It's not
Yes.
just a building, but it's a
No,
home.
that's
So
right.
thank you for the work that you've done. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
And I think maybe you might have to go and get yourself
Splurge
a drink
a little
now.
bit?
Yeah.
Thank you so
so
much.
much.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Okay.
Thanks for being here.
bet.
Back to you, Chris.
Well, thanks, Michelle, and thanks to Adrian for joining into the show and taking some time out of the excitement last night at that grand opening to answer some of our questions. So there you have it. I mean, there is a lot that goes into designing a senior living community, from the architecture all the way through. She talked about the flow of the spaces into the design and the furniture selections and the colors and what's the carpet look like and everything. And typically what we've found is that someone who is an interior designer that doesn't have experience in doing it for senior living, or they aren't a company like the Faulkner Design Group or some other groups that we work with that work specifically only in senior living because it's that special. When other groups do that don't have that experience, you don't get the product and the interior design that's going to work. It might be pretty, but it might not be durable, or it might not be functional for seniors. One of the things that I've always found interesting in the communities is that the seating, the chairs, like the chairs that they were just sitting in that interview, they're heavier. They're kind of more supportive than maybe that's some a similar type of chair you might find in your house. Therefore, they're also more expensive, by the way. But they're specifically designed for seniors and tested for seniors to make sure that they're going to be safe and they're going to be comfortable and they're going to be functional, and they're heavy so that when you go to sit down, if you brace yourself on the chair, it doesn't slide away and you fall over. All of those things, they're minor little things, but they add up and they make a big difference. So the design is super important. I would ask, if you're going on a tour of a community, and it doesn't matter if it's new or existing or whatever, what went into the design of that community, and just see what they have to say. See if they tell you, and if they know that there was a senior living specific design firm behind that. So looks like we got Julie watching. Hey, Julie. We've got Tammy watching. Hey, Tammy. Nice to see you watching the show today. We're talking about new communities specifically, and we had a grand opening last night at a new community, and I've got some video clips that I'm showing. So we've seen the perspective of the owner of the community and kind of what he looks for and why he selects a company like us as the Arbor Company to operate it. We've seen the interior design firm and the leader of that talk about kind of what goes into the design. Now, I'd like you to hear from some residents, some people who actually live in that specific community. Now, of course, they're talking specifically about that community, Arbor Terrace, Naperville, up in Illinois. But I think the things that they say really translate to most, if not all, of our communities at least, but probably also general senior living communities in the area. So we're going to cut over to Wanda now, who was doing an interview. She was doing some roving camera reporting for us last night. You can see her. She's in her 1920s Gatsby flapper wear kind of thing. So that's a lot of fun. But she's got a great interview for you. Let's watch now.
I'm joined this evening by Evelyn Hines and her son Arthur, one of our first residents here at Arbor Terrace, Naperville. I want to get Evelyn and Arthur's opinion on what it's like to be a part of Arbor Terrace, Naperville. But before I get there, look at these outfits. You guys are rocking the 20s. What are the inspiration behind this outfit, Evelyn?
This I actually was loaned the outfit, and the jewelry actually is a 1920 jewelry.
I absolutely love it. Your grandmother's.
My grandmother's.
That's awesome. And Arthur, what's the thought process behind this wonderful suit?
It's kind of a Clark Gable Southern antebellum kind of look. I love the South, so it just worked for me.
It looks awesome. You two look wonderful. So, Evelyn, you were one of the very first residents that moved into Arbor Terrace, Naperville here. Tell me, what do you think so far after living here?
I think it's wonderful. I love being here. I find the service, everything is great. Everybody's very positive, happy. I love the smiles. and
Smiles are always a good thing.
Yeah, I love that. And if there's anything I need or want, I seem to get it very easily.
I kind of like that lifestyle too. So, we saw the extravagant food this evening. How is the food here at Arbor Terrace?
The food is wonderful. The team that works in the kitchen is absolutely fabulous. If there's something they don't have, they go get it for us or they work on it. I haven't asked for anything I couldn't get. And the amount is always something I can get. And that I really appreciate. If I'm not real hungry, I don't have to eat a lot to prove it. But if I am hungry, boy, do I get the food. Some of the clothes I was a little worried about, maybe they wouldn't fit tonight.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it fits, and it fits quite nicely. So, Arthur, were you an integral part of Mom's decision to move in here to Arbor Terrace, Naperville?
I was. As a matter of fact, it's because my wife, my daughter, and I moved here that she moved on from New Mexico here.
You came from New Mexico?
New Mexico, just out of Albuquerque in Rio Rancho, New Mexico. And I love it here. Of course, it's the usual. You get homesick maybe, but that doesn't count. And because of his encouragement, he's only 3 blocks, so I can still check on him and his family without any real effort. They wouldn't even know if I walked by the house.
Well, I won't tell if you don't tell.
Don't tell.
So, Arthur, what caused you to decide that Arbor Terrace, Naperville was a good fit for Mom?
I spent some good quality time with the sales team, and they gave me some really, really good advice about what the transition would be like for her as well as for me and my family. So it worked out very well.
And how much time do you get to spend with the team here?
I spend quite a bit more time than you might imagine. I'm probably in here 2 or 3 days a week at least, and then with a full-time job as well. It's just nice to be able to stop by because she is so close.
That's wonderful. So Evelyn here has been hard at work behind the scenes. This woman has been a big contributor to this party. She has worked tirelessly to put together all of the giveaway gifts for everyone who attended this evening. Evelyn, how long did it take you to put those gifts together?
I really don't know. It was any time I had, I came up, worked on it, and then when I had to go do something else, like eat or that type of thing, or sleep, I took care of that. But it was fun, and it kept my time well used, as I consider. I wasn't just sitting twiddling my thumb. I'm not a big TV fan, so maybe that was part of it, but very pleasant.
They keep you pretty busy here?
They usually do. If they don't have something, they can dream things up, I think, very well.
Glad to hear. Thank you both so much for trusting in Arbor Terrace. And Evelyn, you are just such an asset to the community, and we appreciate you so much. Thank you for all your hard work on this evening. Thank you for your support of the team. And I appreciate you guys. Have a wonderful night tonight. Enjoy.
Thank you.
All right.
And now my audio is back. Thank you, Angel, for letting me know that's not working. And Michelle, oh my goodness. So what I was talking about when my audio went down, was that I am so happy that Evelyn is in that community, that she has transplanted and moved across the country. We see that a lot of times where families will, move somewhere for work, perhaps, to a city that has a lot of transplants, and then they will move their parents or their grandparents to be close to them, because you want to be near your family. But here's the thing: your family, your parents, your grandparents, if you're thinking about moving them or assisting in their move, they still want to be independent. They still want to do their own thing. They don't want to live with you. Sometimes they do, but this is really the best of both worlds for Evelyn, because now she can be near her son, near her grandkids, and see them on a regular basis, but also still live her own life and live a fulfilled life every day, living in the community at Arbor Terrace. I love that Tammy talked about, Tammy says, Evelyn looks great. So awesome that she's wearing her grandmother's necklace. This theme is perfect. I could not agree with you more, Tammy. That's it's such a fun theme to do these parties like this, and everybody dresses up and the residents have a good time. She's wearing her grandmother's necklace. Is that what she said? Yeah. That's really cool. That's an old piece of jewelry, right? She passes it down, and I'm sure she'll pass it down one day. So it's neat that it can live on like that. Angel says Evelyn's interview was awesome. Yes, I cannot agree more. And I thank Wanda for doing that interview for us, since I could not be there last night. So let's move on. Let's go. This is our last clip that I have of the show, and I know this is a little bit longer of a Senior Living Live episode than what you may be used to, but thanks for sticking with us here. And again, let me know if you have any questions or anything that I can answer for you along the way. This clip it's a shorter one. It's only about 2 or 3 minutes long. and it's about food. We talk about food and dining a lot here within our company, but specifically here on Senior Living Live. And we want to tell you a little bit about the dining program that's happening at that community and really at any community that you're going to find out there. What goes into dining in senior living? Let's take a look.
Take a look at what we've got here. So many different types of food to suit every appetite. And of course, it's all spearheaded by this man, Sam Burkowski. Tell us, what about the preparations for this week, Sam? It looks amazing. A lot of hard work must have went into this tonight. What are you most proud of?
Well, it took a long time. We started Monday prepping. It just we enjoyed doing what we're doing, and I just was excited to get this going.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. So, Sam, tell us a little bit about what you've prepared this evening.
Well, we did a stuffed beef tenderloin with herb crusted cream cheese sauce, and also we did chicken, also stuffed chicken, and we also have a variety of appetizers. We did a lot of olives because that's kind of the era, 1920s era. So we did specialty martinis. We had a specialty arbor martini, a blueberry arbor martini, and then old fashions. Yes.
So, Sam, it takes a lot of teamwork to put something together like this. You know a little bit about teams, don't you? You want to share with us a little bit about your Olympic career?
Yes, well, I was on a U.S. ski team for about 6 years. I also was on a ski team for my high school. We had a ski team, so I know a lot about team efforts. So that's sort of how I run my kitchen here. So we work as a team. Everybody helps each other out. We also have meetings with our chefs. So our menus change every week. So we come up with some great dishes for our residents here.
So I'm sure that the residents have a few special dishes that they want you, or have their special recipes they want to share with you and your team. Do you ever do that?
Yes, I actually one of the residents just gave me a recipe last week, and we incorporated it into the menu. And usually when the residents move here, I usually get to I ask them what their likes are, what kind of restaurants they used to like, and we kind of incorporate what their interests are in the food. So we don't have a cycle menu here. We do a menu bi-weekly. So it's all resident-based, what their likes are.
So tonight was pretty extravagant. Is this how the residents eat every night?
That is correct. We actually just did some shrimp kebabs on the barbecue last week. So we also do prime rib the week before. So it's what the residents are kind of looking for. So.
Well, thank you so much, Sam. You've put together quite the party.
Well, if you ask me, that looks pretty good. Sam has quite the spread put together there for that grand opening, but also on a daily basis for the residents of that community. So if you're a foodie like me, hey, a senior living community might be a fantastic place to go. I know what you might be thinking, this institutional food. I've been in the hospital before. I know what that's like. Yeah, that's not what's happening. So now, when you go to tour a senior living community, food is something you want to ask about, right? You want to ask about the type of food that they have. What do the menus look like? Get a copy of the menu, and definitely sit down and take a meal. Don't be rushed and just grab a muffin or something. Sit down and really enjoy a meal, because that's the place. If you move in there, that's where you're going to be dining on a regular basis. So something to think about there. We are very happy to have Sam, former Olympian, working with us and working for the residents up there at Arbor Terrace, Naperville. Hi, Glenda. Thanks for joining the show and watching us live here on Senior Living Live. Well, hey, we are like 30-something minutes into this thing, and I'm so happy that you stuck around this long. This is a little bit longer than what we normally do the show. Again, this is Senior Living Live. This is a weekly show that we do live right here on wherever you're watching it right now, but it's YouTube, Facebook, and at seniorlivinglive.com. I'm going to push this little button. You can watch past episodes at seniorlivinglive.com, and you can watch live there as well, but all of our past episodes, we're episode 23 right now, and so lots of fun things happening with Senior Living Live. We're answering your questions about senior living. and kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit so that you just learn a little bit more about it and become more comfortable with it, and ultimately, make the decision that works best for you. That's our goal, so that you live the life that you want to live. Now, I will be back again next Friday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can watch us live, or of course you can watch the recordings of the show. And until then, it's so nice to see you and talk with you today, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.